Have you ever noticed that the more you analyze your problems, the more complex they become? That your constant thinking feels like progress but leads nowhere? That your intellectual understanding of your issues doesn't actually solve them? Today, I'm going to reveal a truth that will shatter your illusions. Thinking doesn't set you free. It just feeds the system. And I'm going to prove to you that what you call deep thinking is actually a sophisticated form of mental imprisonment that's destroying your capacity for authentic action. If you are new here and like content like these, be part of our channel, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Every time the channel posts a new video, YouTube will notify you. The brutal truth. Your obsessive need to think through everything isn't wisdom. It's paralysis. Every time you say, I need to think about it more, you're not being thoughtful. You're avoiding action. Every time you analyze your emotions instead of feeling them, you're not being intelligent. You're being addicted to the illusion of control. I suggest you stay until the end, because I believe you will identify with what is being said. Result? You become a mental prisoner, trading your instincts for endless loops of analysis that lead nowhere. The analysis trap. Listen to this. The system can smell intellectual masturbation like predators smell fear. They know you'll spend years thinking about change instead of actually changing. They know you'll read self-help books, watch videos, attend seminars, anything except take real action. Your eager pursuit of understanding is not growth. It is disguised procrastination. You are not evolving. You are buying temporary relief from your existential responsibility at the price of your authentic power. The overthinking factory, self-help industry, mental addiction machines. Every book promises the key to understanding yourself. Every course offers a new framework. You measure your progress by how much you know, not by how you live. Therapy, endless exploration of the past. You analyze your childhood, dissect your patterns, understand your triggers, but nothing fundamentally changes. Social media wisdom, performative intelligence theater. You share profound quotes not out of wisdom, but to prove to others and yourself that you're enlightened. All this keeps you mentally dependent, overthinking, controllable. The shocking discovery. What we call deep thinking is often just the ego's desperate attempt to maintain the illusion of control. You don't think to solve problems, you think to avoid the discomfort of not knowing. The more you need to understand everything, the less you actually live. The less you live, the more you need to understand. You are trapped in a mental death spiral, the vicious cycle. Here's the cruel trick. The more you think about living, the less you actually live. It's like trying to swim by reading about water. The more you study, the further you get from the experience. You analyze your emotions. You disconnect from them. You become more confused. You analyze more. You disconnect further. You overthink decisions. You delay action. You feel powerless. You overthink even more. The false intelligence. Your desperate need to understand everything is false. You're not thinking from wisdom. You're thinking from fear. That's not intelligence. It's mental vampirism in disguise. True wisdom requires no constant analysis. It acts from intuition without needing to justify everything. It trusts, but doesn't need to understand. The inner revolution. Want to know the secret? Mental independence, not ignorant strategic action. Start small. Make one decision today without analyzing it to death. Feel one emotion without immediately trying to understand why. Take one action based on instinct, not logic. Every act of mental independence is a punch to your overthinking addiction. The transformation. When you stop desperately needing to understand everything, something magical happens. You start living, not because you're being reckless, but because you've become genuinely powerful. Decisive, intuitive, acting rather than analyzing. The price of authenticity. I'll be brutal. Becoming mentally independent comes at a price. Intellectual friends will find you shallow. Therapy addicts will think you're in denial. Your analysis suppliers will find new victims. And you know what? Perfect. Better to be simple and effective than complex and paralyzed. Better to lose fake depth than to slowly die in mental quicksand. Warrior wisdom. There is a wisdom that is not thinking, it is warrior wisdom. When you act from strength, not analysis. When you choose to live because you trust yourself, not because you understand everything. This wisdom has boundaries. It stops endless mental loops. It fiercely protects its vital energy. The awakening. Recognize the analysis paralysis. When you realize your identity is constructed through endless thinking, your awareness of this mental prison is already the first step toward authentic action. Life transformed. Transform living doesn't drain you, it energizes you. It doesn't make you confused, it makes you clear. It doesn't complicate you, it celebrates your simplicity. It becomes your gift to the world, not your burden from it. The code of mental manipulation. Want to know how to identify when your need to think is being used against you? Pay attention to these signs. When you postpone decisions until you have all the information, you are training yourself to never act. When you think about taking action and immediately need to research more, your thinking has become procrastination. When you stay awake analyzing problems instead of solving them, you're living in mental prison. The inversion technique. Here's a technique that will change your life. Every time you feel desperate to analyze something more, ask yourself, who benefits if I remain mentally paralyzed? Afraid to act without perfect understanding. The system benefits from your inaction. Afraid to trust your instincts. The system benefits from your self-doubt. Afraid to live simply? The system benefits from your mental complexity. Your overthinking always points you to where you need to create action, not more analysis. The security paradox. You've been taught that thinking prevents mistakes. That's a lie. Living requires action. Real security comes from resilience, not perfect understanding. When you act despite incomplete information, you discover that most problems solve themselves through movement. When you obey your overthinking, your problems multiply through mental stagnation. The anatomy of mental control. I'll tell you how they control you in 3 steps. First, they convince you that every decision needs extensive analysis. Second, they provide endless information and perspectives that make every choice seem overwhelming. Third, they offer more thinking tools in exchange for your paralysis. If you just understand more, you'll know what to do. Real mental independence is threatening to those who benefit from your paralysis. That's why they sell you the myth of informed decisions and deep understanding. They make you believe it's better to be a knowledgeable prisoner than a simple person who might make mistakes. But what's the real risk? Living in your head instead of your life. Dying without ever having trusted yourself. Reaching the end knowing you were a scholar of existence, not a liver of it. The action test. Test yourself. Imagine you couldn't analyze a decision for a week. Terrified or liberated? If terrified, you're addicted to thinking. If liberated, you're free. Simple strategy. Start with micro actions. Make one decision without research. Trust one instinct. Act before you feel ready. The antidote to overthinking? Comfortable ignorance. Accept that you don't need to understand everything. Action with incomplete information beats perfect understanding with no action. The neuroscience of analysis. I'll explain what happens in your brain when you're thinking addicted. Your neural pathways become dependent on constant mental stimulation like a drug addiction. In plain English, you need increasingly complex problems to analyze to feel productive. The result? You act like a mental junkie, not like a decisive human being. You create problems out of thinking withdrawal even when simple action would solve everything. The system's trap. Since childhood, you've been conditioned. Good analysis, smart. Quick action, sus impulsive. Your brain learned. Action, suck risk. Thinking, someone safety. You're addicted to insights like a gambler to slot machines. Every aha moment gives dopamine hits. But the more you need to understand, the less you live. Self-trust is magnetic. When you make decisions confidently and act on instincts, you attract opportunities. Life rewards action, not endless analysis. Perfect understanding is impossible and paralyzing. Authentic mistakes create genuine learning. Process thoughts quickly into action. Stop accumulating mental waste. You have 2 choices. Remain mentally dependent, seeking perfect understanding, or awaken to your wisdom and act from trust instead of fear. Stop thinking from fear. Start acting by choice. The system needs you paralyzed. Your freedom begins with self-trust. The war for your mental independence has begun. Will you think as a prisoner or live as a free person? Your need to understand everything was designed to keep you dependent. But now you know. Act on it. If this awakens something in you, share it. The revolution starts in your action. Today, right now, I challenge you. Make one decision you've been overthinking for weeks. Don't research, don't analyze, don't ask for opinions. Just decide and act. Watch what happens. You'll discover that the consequences you feared were phantoms. The perfect moment was a myth. The more information was procrastination in disguise. Warning: when you start acting instead of thinking, your old programming will rebel. Your mind will create urgency around analysis. But what if? I should research more. Let me think about it. This is the system trying to reclaim you. Your addiction withdrawing. Your prison guard panicking. Ignore it. Act anyway. Every action you take without endless analysis sends a signal to the universe. I trust myself. Every decision made from intuition instead of information builds your confidence muscle. You're literally rewiring your brain from paralysis to power, from spectator to participant, from thinker to liver. The ultimate secret they don't want you to know? Life rewards bold action, not perfect planning. Every successful person you admire acted on incomplete information. They trusted their instincts over their intellect. You already have everything you need to make better decisions. Your overthinking isn't protecting you, it's imprisoning you. Declare your independence from analysis paralysis today. Say it out loud. I trust myself to make decisions with incomplete information. I choose action over endless thinking. I am free. The revolution doesn't start tomorrow. It starts with your next decision. Make it count. The point of no return. Once you taste the freedom of decisive action, you can never go back to being a mental prisoner. The clarity that comes from trusting yourself becomes addictive, but this is a healthy addiction. You'll start noticing how others trap themselves in endless loops of analysis. How they waste years preparing instead of living. How they mistake motion for progress, thinking for action. But you'll be different. You'll be free. You'll be dangerous to the system that profits from your paralysis. The awakened life. This is what awaits you on the other side of overthinking. Decisions made in minutes instead of months. Opportunities seized instead of studied. Dreams pursued instead of planned to death. A life lived, not analyzed. A story written, not researched. A person who acts, not thinks about acting. The final command. The choice is yours. The moment is now. Stop reading, start living. The liberation process. The transformation isn't instant. It's a daily rebellion against your conditioning. Every morning you wake up and choose, will I think or will I act? Will I analyze or will I live? Some days you'll slip back into old patterns. You'll catch yourself researching instead of doing, planning instead of executing. This is normal. The system's programming runs deep. But each time you choose action over analysis, you're breaking another chain. Each decisive moment is a victory against the mental slavery that once defined you. This is the warrior's path. Act despite fear. Decide despite uncertainty. Move despite not knowing the outcome. Warriors don't think their way to victory. They fight their way to it. Every day you don't act is a day the system wins. Every decision you postpone is a victory for your mental captors. Every "let me think about it" is another chain around your freedom. The revolution ends where your action begins.